Hello, hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am Sean,
And I am PengWin.
and this will be a cross-spawn ZVT on MLG Metalopolis between these two players. This is round 3, if I am not mistaken, of the North American Zeke.com Fridaily. And here to introduce our player
In the top position, we have zLfreebird as the purple Zerg. And in the bottom position, Sean?
in the bottom position, also won 2 games, 2 bests of 1. In order to get to this point, it is the blue Terran Raegeki. I don't know how to pronounce that because
It is pronounced Raegeki.
Raegeki.
I know this because I am a Yu-Gi-Oh nerd.
You're a Yu-Gi-Oh nerd. Oh my gosh, I am not a Yu-Gi-Oh nerd. I am a fan of let's see, mostly I live for FMA and Death Note.
Fair enough. I would just like to point out that Freebird, this is of course the third round, and Freebird's other 2 opponents have both been Terran, so he has a perfect record of playing only Terran guys, and he's been beating them. So maybe he'll be able to continue that against Raegeki right now.
Interesting. Absolutely, and if ever there was a place to do it, it is cross-spawn MLG Metalopolis. Cool place. Always leads to very interesting ZVTs. I remember, I'm sure you do too, PengWin, Idra versus Boxer from MLG Orlando. That
Definitely
was quite an interesting extended series, and the Metalopolis match, where Boxer actually lifted to the gold at the beginning of the game, was quite interesting.
Definitely, yes. Idra was taken by surprise there. Lost pretty easily in that game, if I'm not mistaken, Sean.
Mm-hmm.
Thus far, we're not seeing anything too strange going on. We're seeing a fast expansion of the 17 hatch, not quite as fast. We're still not seeing the spawning pool go down. There's the spawning pool very, very late, at the 3-minute mark, so it'll be interesting to see if Raegeki, who sees the timing on that spawning pool, will try to pull out some early aggression.
Indeed we will. The SCV very low on health, trying desperately hard to get out of the base alive, but this drone being microed against him, and he has to, this is actually quite exciting, and he has to move, he's almost not yet.
I have to say, I just popped into the APM tab during that, and both the players were averaging around 210 APM while a little dance of ring around the spawning pool was going on.
PengWin. And
we're seeing a gas steal from Freebird, as well as a factory going straight up from Raegeki, so I think we can expect to see him go into some Hellion play. A lot of players will throw down that, yes, he's throwing down the reactor on the barracks, and he's ready to switch those over as soon as that factory finishes up.
And he's forcing the reactor on the barracks, not going to allow him to get any kind of fast blue flame. Not that is as popular an opening as it used to be back in 1.2 when blue flame was so incredibly powerful. Now it's still powerful, but sort of one of those upgrades you just sort of get through the course of Hellion play if you continue to play with Hellions. Of course, Hellion's still a very powerful, very cost-efficient unit when microed correctly.
Definitely, we are seeing an expansion coming up from Raegeki. He's going to put down that command center inside his base. And the swap over is happening with this barracks and the factory right around now. The reactor on that factory now, he'll be able to start pumping out those Hellions 2 at a time.
And the tech lab going down on the barracks, he can use that for some marauders, and Ling speed going down for Freebird, and the Queen just finishing, so he's going to start being able to pump out drones and units at his will quite easily. And so now he does have 1 Queen to each base.
He also does have that 1 forward spine crawler, but of course Hellions being such fast units, it is very, very easy to micro around spine crawlers unless you have a sort of wall built up. He's going to throw down a 2nd spine crawler as well, but I don't like the positioning on either of those spine crawlers. It seems pretty easy to be able to get around. And a couple Hellions are moving across the map, and we'll be able to see whether Raegeki can pull that off or not.
Well, I think what Freebird wants is to position his queen at held ground on the ramp, one of his queens there, and that will prevent the Hellions from running up in the game. And he cancels the spine crawler. I did see that.
Oh no!
And that is not a good.
One of the other things I noticed that Raegeki actually left his supply depot down and allowed a Ling to get into his base and see all of his tech, see the expansion, see the orbital, and see absolutely everything that was going on in there as well. So a bit of a blunder by both players right there.
Absolutely, but I guess the canceled spine crawler actually wasn't as much of a mistake as I thought. He did actually cancel the spine crawler when he saw the Hellions moving away, and actually that does save him quite a bit of money and allows him to keep mining with that drone. until this additional group of Hellions, this 6 Hellion hit squad, if you will, gets there. They will have to run in the range of the Spinecrawler, which is never optimal. And now that the link speed is done, he has to micro those links a little bit better if he wants to be able to prevent the Hellions from getting a decent surround on those drones.
And they snipe the Queen. We are seeing that Evolution Chamber wall, as I mentioned earlier. That is something that a lot of Zergs will go for to try to get rid of all these Hellions. But when Hellions get hit in such large numbers, even though they don't do much damage to buildings, they start to do a decent amount of damage when you have this many of them sort of knocking on your door.
That is so true. It's only a matter of time before this Evo Chamber goes down, and he has to mass up enough wings in order to deny that Hellion. If he moves the Spinecrawler, those Hellions are just simply going to run around and get their free roasting drones. This is actually very good Spinecrawler placement, because you cannot take further damage on your Hellions, because it does not help when you're in the middle of the creep, because Zerglings can get a nice surround. So you want to try and have as much health on your Hellions as possible if you're going to get into the base of your opponent. But the Lings are going to deny, sort of deny the Hellions, because on creep Lings, speed Lings are so much better than regular Hellions, at least.
One thing I would like to point out. Oh, we see a bit of an engagement here. Off creep. These Lings are off creep, and thus are very much slower. They don't take out a single Hellion. And if we look at the units lost tab, Freebird's lost quite a few units, quite a few resources, and Raegeki hasn't lost anything yet.
That is so good. He has lost a worker as well, and that is not very good for Freebird. At the same time, it is standard for him to have to lose Lings, but at the same time, the Hellions should be being taken out. He hasn't taken any worker damage, but he is being held to his main, and that is allowing Raegeki to basically just make SCVs to his heart's content. Doesn't have to worry too much about base defenses, because right now Freebird is locked in his main. But the Speedlings going to be able to move out, and are they going to go for a little run by into the natural, or maybe even up into the main?
Siege mode is finished, but the tanks are not sieging up.
The tanks are not sieging up, and it looks like they won't siege up until it's too late. Finally, they're nope, they're not sieging up, and
The Lings are, however, just going to sort of sit out at that Zamaga watchtower. Oh, they are going to start moving out, though. No, they're splitting. Not the best control by him there. Those Hellions able to take out the two that were intended to scout.
Well, yeah, he's pulling the Lings back to his base. Definitely good judgment there. Don't want to overcommit when they have a lot of Marines and a lot of Hellions there.
Taking a look at the units counting station, there's actually 3 more SCVs than drones, and factoring in those mules as well, 2 orbitals worth of mules. That is a lot more income, and a lot of SCVs just popped as well. And he has a massive supply worker lead now, Raegeki. Freebird.
Yeah, I don't know if I like this investment into. He's made 2 roaches, and I feel like that's all he's going to make, because he's realizing, wait a second, maybe I shouldn't have made roaches. Because cross spawn on Metalopolis, you don't want those. You don't want to overinvest in roaches, because every 2 roaches is 75-25. That is a Baneling that you could have. That is
We're seeing a very
Banelings.
nice run by counterattack by Lings that are about to run into the natural of Raegeki. He has 1 siege of tank. That is a lot of Lings, and he's not raising supply depots. They could run right into the main if he sees.
He doesn't raise the supply depots, and they're going to run right into the main, and they're going to get a scout off into everything that's going on, and some worker kills. That is going to be absolutely devastating for Raegeki. And this contain, I'm surprised he's still containing. Like, I think he's going maybe for a trading scenario where he's not even trying to stop the Lings, and that is not. I really don't know. I feel like Freebird does have.
Banelings absolutely obliterating the Marines of Raegeki at Freebird's natural, and Freebird should be able to clean this up with relative ease now. Raegeki absolutely not having the Marine control that he needed in that engagement. Marines just dropping like flies, and all of a sudden the game that was very much in Raegeki's favor is very even all of a sudden.
And the Spire is almost done, which means that these tanks are not going to be able to contain for much longer. It might not even have come to that, because the Lings just clean up the tanks, and the Mutas are going to come out, and I do not think that, no, Raegeki does not even know about the Spire. He may even try and make a move out happen, and he's gonna get absolutely denied by these Mutas. And this is not a very good situation for Raegeki. He's playing in the dark, and as a Terran, you do not want to play in the dark. You want to make sure that your Zerg opponent is playing in the dark, because as a Terran, it is so much easier to get that scouting information than it is as a Zerg.
Sean, take a look at the worker, at the units killed, workers killed. bar here. I didn't realize how much damage Freebird had actually done to the economy. He's killed 17 workers in Raegeki's main. Just goes to show that you need to be on top of raising those supply depots.
Indeed, that is absolutely
Mutas are going to be swinging into the main now as well. There's absolutely no anti-air here. The Marines are out of position, and the SCVs are just going to start falling like flies. He's not even moving the SCVs.
It's true, but at the same time, I don't know if I like this. I feel like you could get a lot more worker kills because there are too many Marines for the Mutas to be able to get their heart's content, and the Marines will be able to get into the main, and moving into the natural is a good move, but at the same time he could get away with a lot less having to control his mutas if he had a slightly higher muta count, and maybe he could have waited a little bit until there were more SCVs for the killing and more mutas to kill them with.
You have read my mind, Sean. I was just thinking to myself, if I were in his position, I definitely would have realized he does not know I have a lair even. Raegeki didn't even see the lair. He probably didn't assume Mutalisks on, since he saw so many Lings, but I would have just waited till I had maybe a healthy muta count, maybe 10 or 11 mutas, and then just gone in and been able to kill lots more. He only killed 3 workers.
Indeed, he only killed 3 workers. Definitely not worth it for the mutas, which are so bad in head-on engagements. He is now going to have to rely on catching a lot of his enemy's units out of position. Meanwhile, Raegeki rising up to the act. He only has 3 tanks. He has a 4th tank there, which is going to help against the Lings and the Banelings. But he is, let's see if he is building that armory. He's not building that armory quite yet. But we can expect to see that sometime soon, because he will definitely be getting those stores out. And now it's going to be up to who can get their tech going the fastest. Because once those stores come out, if and when those stores come out, Freebird is going to have to get his strategy switched up as well.
I'm not sure if you saw that, Sean, but Freebird did actually dart into the main with his Mutalisks, killed up a couple more workers without losing any. Very, very nice play by him.
Definitely.
But I have noticed that he is getting weapons upgrade on Mutalisks, and I don't like this play. With missile turrets having 2 attacks, Thors having 4 attacks, against Terran, you really want to be going for the Carapace upgrade on those Mutalisks. That helps him survive for so much longer.
I feel like the muta control is a lot more important than which upgrades you get, as long as you do get some kind of upgrade, and that is what he is doing. He did manage to catch a couple of Marines off guard, but I think he did lose a muta, which at this point is okay, considering how much he has killed, but that muta count is continuing to climb, and as long as he can control these mutas correctly, I mean, it's really a question of whether the battle goes longer or shorter, based on what upgrades you get. And the Marines are at 1-1, so either upgrade will really help you in the battle.
Mutalisks are going to be darting back into the main, taking out that missile turret with relative ease. 20 Mutalisks is not going to be exactly even against 1 missile turret. But you are going to be seeing the armory has finished, so he's going to start producing a Thor, but...
He looks like he's engaging. No, that is a horrible engagement for Freebird. He's going to lose so many mutas. And that muta count going down to 15, it was at 21 just a while ago, and that is absolutely terrible, making up for it catching a couple of Marines, but Marines only cost minerals, and in fact, actually, if you just add the L, Marines and minerals have exactly the same letters, and that is absolutely irrelevant. And this is just not a very good use of mutas, I have to say.
When Freebird pulled away with those Mutalisks, he flew over 3 more Marines, losing another Mutalisk. He will... he's going to find...
He will snipe a medevac, and that is going to be so huge. A medevac, oh my goodness, that is worth at least a Mutalisk in its value, as well as all the Marines inside. Very good engagement.
Looking at this map, though, Freebird's Overlord placement is absolutely stellar. He has vision all over the map, sees absolutely everything that's going on, but I worry that he doesn't have enough in the way of Banelings, really. 17 Banelings on the way, but that's a lot of Marines.
Oh my goodness, he's going to be moving on to the creep, and I feel like if he had a slightly higher Baneling count, he could actually catch this off guard before they can siege up, but the tanks are going to be able to siege up at this point. Unimpeded.
Going for counterattack with the Mutalisks into the third base. There are Marines, not enough though. There are plenty of missile turrets though to dissuade him from getting any real damage done there. Counterattack fails, and Raegeki, with a far inferior supply count, may be about to do some really terrible damage.
That is absolutely right. And if he allows his opponent to siege up,
and Zerglings rolling in, but they're not going to get.
They're going to get absolutely obliterated by the tank shots. He does manage to get some really good hits off on the Thor, and actually, the muta count might be good enough to clean this up as long as he can magic box that Thor.
I feel like Raegeki didn't focus down the banelings, he could have had a lot less in the way of damage dealt to himself.
That is
If he
absolutely
just
true.
focused down those banelings, and I don't think he did. I think he just sort of left it on 1A, and we're going to see them once again, more banelings rolling in, but this time they will get behind the tanks. Very, very good control there. Banelings are all going to die, and I feel like you were right. If he just blew into the Mutalisks Magic Box to Thor, he'd be able to clean this up easily, but he doesn't want to do that.
He has the muni count is high enough. He gets the speed links to tank the damage, and no pun intended. But yeah, he does manage to get the Thor, and looks like this attack is going to be quite short-lived. In fact, if this were MLG Columbus, this is the point where I would expect Freebird to GG out. So yeah, Raegeki going to stem up, going to start receiving that creep and denying this expansion any more mining. And I feel like Raegeki is staying in a good position as far as pressure is concerned, but at the same time he is giving up quite a lot, which he is while he is mining out of his main. So he's going to have to expand sometime soon. But I feel like this kind of aggression is going to allow him to do that with fair ease.
Definitely, and of course, Freebird has this expansion at his 4th, but he's not going to be able to get any workers there, and he's got massive oversaturation at his natural and almost no more minerals left in his main. So he's also going to be in a bit of a starving situation. He doesn't have very much backed up. His macro's been a little bit too good for himself at this point.
And I would say that if he hadn't lost all those mutas in that engagement, I feel like he would be in a much better position, because this Marine count is quite frankly lacking. If he had just a couple, he needs to pick off these tanks on the perimeter and just be making pot shots while running Zerglings in from all sides, because I feel like he needs to be tanking damage with Zerglings while doing small amounts of damage with the mutas. There are no SCVs in this area, so every bit of damage he does will count towards something. And forcing a stim, very good move from Freebird, but I just feel like both players are in a fairly awkward position. Raegeki getting out of it, getting that expansion, and it looks like Raegeki is actually going to take a good lead in this game.
Yes, and of course Raegeki did also snipe that expansion at the 4th base. That is definitely not good news for Freebird.
Absolutely not.
And Freebird's going to go for another counter, but there's so many... Oh, actually, those are Lings. There's so many missile turrets there. I'm wondering if this is just somewhat of a massive overdoing it with these missile turrets. He has 8 missile turrets in his 3rd base. That's a lot of money.
Like, he is losing so many workers right now, and I feel like that is exactly what Freebird needs. He needs to hold, he needs to re-expand. I feel like he needs to take... I feel like he needs to get a really good engagement and expand his gold if he wants to get back in the economical game. Definitely doing very well for himself as far as workers killed goes, 42-4. But the worker supply actually very good for Freebird. I did not realize that he needs to get his third mining base up, because that worker supply is actually going to waste right now. But he is definitely having a much better economy than his Terran opponent, who has only 39 workers at this point. Definitely a good Ling run by. I definitely did miss that, but that was really good and put him definitely ahead in economy, but he has to follow through.
But of course, they are practically even in supply, which does mean that Freebird has a much smaller army. He has all of these Mutalisks. 24 Mutalisks are really... I believe he has 24 Mutalisks on the map right now. And they're able to do decent damage, but they have to stay the hell away from those Marines.
Absolutely.
Several of them are getting very low on health, and if he has one misclick, he could lose all of those Mutalisks right away.
That is absolutely true.
He bunches them up next to the Thor.
Thor gets a nice AoE shot off, and that is really going to be bad for
That is
Freebird's
just the
mutas.
kind of misclick I was talking about just seconds ago.
Indeed.
Wow, that was horrific.
Another thing to call into attention, it is still a lair. There has been no infestation pit put up, let alone a hive, and I feel like that is a huge mistake. That he with such a huge Terran force, he needs those broodlords to deny the planetary. If he allows that gold to start mining, it's going to be a very bad position for him, because the Terran can just simply play defensive and then just move out with a huge Thor tank Marine line. And if you look at the upgrades, vehicle weapons 2 going down, as well as check out the Marines, they have +3 weapons and only +1 armor, which is good, which is good considering the mutas have +1 attack. But at the same time, they have +3 weapons, so they're going to be in a very good position against the mutas, let alone the Thors.
Yeah, but wow. Raegeki is just brilliant as far as knowing exactly where those banelings are placed. You can they do cast a slight shadow, so you can see them as Terran, but it takes some really fantastic, concentration and game sense to be able to really see that.
That is very true.
So, kudos to him.
Meanwhile, Raegeki going to be moving out, and Bermuda's going to have to focus down this turret. But it looks like actually catching the Terran army out of position, they're going to snipe this gold. But at the same time, the Terran army going to kill so many workers just moving out, and I feel like he could just end the game right here with a huge army lead. And I just don't see what Freebird can possibly do. He has just lost too many mutas over the course of the game. He doesn't have enough banelings. And despite the fact that his opponent did make quite a few mistakes, he has made quite a few more. And I feel like that is going to allow Raegeki to really, if not win the game, at least take a massive lead. Making Roaches never in a good position if you're making Roaches versus a Marine tank Thor army. Because you're either gonna hold it off and pay for it, or you're just gonna lose it right off the bat. And so I feel like we're gonna see a GG pretty soon.
Definitely, this meaningless count that was once very formidable is going down pretty quickly. It looked like he ran them into the third base, but there's just far too many missile turrets with SCVs on auto repair.
Indeed, and I just like I see the mutas are going for sort of a base trade where they're just like killing off any kind of reinforcements, but at the same time, well, there's no point in killing off reinforcements if you have nothing to kill the main army, and that seems to be the scenario, and he's killing all of the workers, hoping to get a sort of ill-advised GG out of his opponent, but that is not going to happen. And I feel like, and I do feel like this game is going to be over pretty soon.
Zooming in with some more Marines, picking up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more Mutalisks, going down against those almost dead Marines. Fantastic Marine control here against very bad Mutalisk control, actually. And so
quite
many
honestly,
missile
doesn't
turrets.
have to have the good Marine control, simply because he does have...
Bunching Mutalisks.
And there's the GG. And I feel like Freebird just did not have the muta control to really pull that through to the end, as well as the another issue that another thing I really took issue with for that Terran army to get on the creep and just power through the Zerg forces. I feel like when you have that creep spread, you have to have control of everything that you can see, and he did not have the control of his own creep. That really is important.
Definitely, I totally agree. Yeah, we did see that game, which wasn't so much. I mean, Raegeki played very well, but he made a lot of mistakes, and I think it was more Freebird losing the game than Raegeki winning the game, to be honest.
I feel like both players did make a lot of mistakes, and this game really is very polar. It's about who can take advantage of the other's mistakes more. So
especially in a matchup like ZVT, when you have something like a Marine tank medevac Thor army going up against a Ling Baneling Muta, where both armies have that sort of scenario where one misclick can lose you the entire game.
Absolutely. Whether it's accidentally clicking your own gold expansion, or moving your mutas over a huge group of Marines, I just feel like that it's a matchup for either player to lose. And that will do it for this match. This was a best of one, and I forgot his name. Raegeki will be moving on to the next round. I believe it will be round 4, and we will be back in just a few minutes. In the meantime, I am Sean.
I am PengWin.
And we'll be back with another match, either from round 3 or round 4.